Good morning, everyone. I'm going to call the meeting to order. All matters noticed on this agenda in any category may be considered for action as listed. Any item not so noticed may not be considered. Items listed on this agenda may be considered in any order at the discretion of the chairperson. Agenda item number 2, the mission of the OCFEC is creating equitable community access to agriculture, entertainment, cultural, and educational experiences. Item number 3 is the Pledge of Allegiance. The fellow director that would like to lead us today. Director Ruiz.
Where's the flag?
On the screen.
All right, if you're able to, hand over your right hand over your heart. Okay, ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now agenda item number 4, roll call. Summer?
Chair Tomasovich,
Here.
Vice Chair Bonner-Reese, Director Pham,
Here.
Director Lavelle,
Here.
Director Rubalcaba Garcia, here, Director Ruiz,
Present.
Director Villazikian, here, and Director Jackson.
Present.
Did I?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm going to go ahead and make a few minor changes to the order of the agenda. Now, in this slot, I'd like to move item 9A, and this is for the Community Affairs to make a presentation. Community Affairs Committee to make a presentation. So please, I'll turn it over to my colleagues with the Community Affairs Committee. Go ahead.
Thank you. So it's Asian American Pacific Islander History Month. And in honor of Asian American Pacific Islander History Month, we have a proclamation to A.G. Kawamura. A.G. Kawamura is a third-generation fruit and vegetable grower and shipper from Orange County. He is the former secretary of the California Department of Food and Agriculture, co-developer of Centennial Farm, and a former board member for the 32nd District Agricultural Association, the OC Fairgrounds Center. Through his company, Orange County Produce, LLC, AG is engaged in building an exciting, interactive, 21st century, 100-acre agricultural showcase at the Orange County Great Park in Irvine. AG is dedicated to the goal of ending hunger in our lifetime and has worked in innovative ways to provide fresh produce to local food banks through his nonprofit, Solutions for Urban Agriculture. He collaborates with farmers, ranchers, foresters, and stakeholders to focus on nutrition, hunger education, and advanced food systems. Please join us in welcoming A.G.
And now on behalf of the Orange County Fair, I would like to present this proclamation and resolution of the Board of Directors of the 32nd District Agricultural Association regarding Asian American Pacific Islander History Month. Whereas the 32nd District Agricultural Association's mission is creating equitable community access to agriculture, entertainment, cultural, and educational experiences, the district's vision is the Orange County's town square, the safe place where the community gathers and finds value, and the district recognizes the importance of honoring the month of May as Asian Pacific Islander Month. The district recognizes the Asian American and Pacific Islander Month communities and their achievements in agriculture, the arts, literature, sciences, medicine, military service, business, entrepreneurship, and the district celebrates the AAPI communities and their contributions to the rich, diverse culture and heritage of Orange County. And the district celebrates the communities and their contributions to Orange County. OC Fair and Event Center reinforces the principles of diversity, equity, inclusion, and non-discrimination as core institutional values and that safety is the underlying element to making any one person or community feel welcome in nearly any setting. Further resolved, it is the position of the OC Fairgrounds Event Center Board of Directors and staff to enforce the policy prohibiting discrimination of any person on the basis of race, ethnicity, nationality, or sexual orientation, and to respond to all concerns accordingly. Now therefore, the Board of Directors of the district hereby proclaim the month of May as Asian American Pacific Islander History Month at the Orange County Fair and Event Center. So it is my great honor to present this resolution to you on behalf of the Board of Directors.
Thank you very much. Sure, just a quick word. I think it's 35 years ago that I made the comment that when you don't show up for a meeting, sometimes you get volunteered to do something, and sure enough, that was I believe it was 1989. We were looking at the centennial of the County of Orange, and there was a little open piece of ground. It was a horrible looking vacant lot where nothing would grow. But they said, let's go ahead and put an example of the agricultural heritage out there, and that became the Centennial Farm. And the first year it was just that, a dirt piece of ground, nothing would grow. We basically went all over the county and dug up plants, planted them just in time for the fair, put a picket fence around it, and people said, hey, that looks wonderful. Of course, those of us that knew were just pretty embarrassed. It was a good effort, but it was tough place to farm. So the following year, though, the fair luck did so much, they elected to put raised beds and really put some dollars into it. And we came back then that next year with tractors and everything, and put it together in the Centennial Farm that you see today. That concept of build it and they will come really was launched then in that second year. And what you see then is this really need and importance that if the public doesn't know where the food comes from, they don't know how hard it is to get it from a farm to a table, onto a plate. And for those that don't have access to food, these are all big challenges that we continue to have. We currently, just last year, we hit 8 billion people on the planet in last November. 8 billion people is a lot. In 1927, just as a backgrounder, we only had 2 billion people on the planet. So many of us know people that were born around 1925, 1927. They'd be closing in on 100 years old. Think how much change has happened in that much time. And what is one of the areas that continues to be important and necessary is everybody hopes to eat every day, 3 times a day, if that works. And so for those of us from the ag community, for those of us also from the Asian American Pacific Islander communities that have engaged in agriculture for eons actually, I would just say we're very thankful for the support here in this country, obviously, the support around the world for agriculture where we can find it, but at the same time we'd raise a little red flag or a yellow flag that it's challenging if the public doesn't support agriculture, that if they don't understand agriculture, and then we start to see that good intentions start to come out and start to limit the potentiality, if you will, of agriculture and the ability to produce food day after day. So with this kind of a proclamation, and more importantly with this kind of support, thank you, and thank you for supporting the Centennial Farm during these many, many successful decades, because you've really created a place there where a lot of young kids get their first chance to understand that food really doesn't come from the store. It absolutely comes from some good hard work. So again, thank you very much. Thanks.
All right, thank you guys for that presentation, and I am going to, again, skip real quick here to agenda item number 6, which is matters of public comment. I will read the script, and then I want to kind of discuss some of the ground rules for today that hopefully we can follow. So first, public comment is allowed on issues not on the current agenda. However, no debate by the board shall be permitted on such public comments. No action will be taken on such public comments at this time, as long as it requires formal public notice prior to any action on an agenda item. Speakers are requested to withdraw and submit a comment to the meeting secretary prior to the start of the meeting and are limited to 3 minutes. Comments will be accepted on all other agenda items at this time. Each item is listed on the agenda. Speakers wish to address the board on items on the agenda are requested to withdraw and submit a comment to the meeting secretary prior to the start of the meeting and identify the agenda items on which you desire to address the board. And typically, speakers are limited to 3 minutes. However, as part of the ground rules today, I'm going to reduce that to 2 minutes. And the reason being is we do have a separate meeting room booked at a specific time for closed session today, which I believe is at 10:45. So we have to hit that, and we have some directors that do need to leave, and I want to make sure we have a quorum for our important items that are on the agenda today. So we're going to reduce across the board to 2 minutes for any public comment. Summer, could you make the adjustment to the timer? Thank you. And then we do not have a working camera here today on the board members, so if you can please remember when you speak as a board director to say your name. If there's no name, just assume it's me. But that would be helpful for folks that are dialed in. And then because this room has microphones all throughout, we do not need a microphone for public comment. So public commentors can stand right in the center there in the aisle. Oh, right at the podium? Okay. But you don't need to speak in the mic.
No, the microphone's not ours.
Yeah, so the microphone is not relevant for capturing these comments into the record. Also, I'll call multiple speakers at one time, so if people can line up so that the public comment moves faster, that would be appreciated. And generally, for these microphones to pick up the audio of the person speaking, it's best if the rest of the room is quiet from chatter, because sometimes we miss some of the ones from last meeting due to a little bit of chatter out there. So that's all I have before we begin. Matters of public comment, and we do have a few, so I'll announce the first 3. We have Reggie Mundicus, we have Susan Seeger, and we have Anna Bell. Reggie, please begin.
Hi, I'm Reggie Mundicus, and thank you for this opportunity to address you today. I'd like to recommend a movie. It's called Class Action Park. It's the story of Action Park in New Jersey, where the philosophy was thrill rides are so much more thrilling if there's the chance of permanent injury, and rather than buying rides from someone who knows what they're doing, let's make them ourselves out of concrete and steel, because that way they'll last longer. So I saw it. Parts of it left me apoplectic. The people I was watching it with thought they might have to call an ambulance, because I just started choking and not breathing and pointing at the screen and saying, you can't do that. So since we're in the amusement business, I thought I'd just recommend that to you for viewing it sometime. And thank you, and have a great holiday.
Thank you. Susan Seeger? And again, if you guys could line up behind Anna Bell is next, and then we have Alex Swanson. Go ahead and stand up. Go ahead, Anna. All right, sorry, Susan.
Members of the board, thank you for your time and attention. My name is Susan Seeger. Much as I would like to, I have never owned a horse. It's too expensive, but I have been able to benefit from the services offered at the Equestrian Center. I first became familiar with the Equestrian Center when my daughter, who was in the Newport Mesa School District Middle School at CDM, developed a serious eating disorder complicated with anxiety and depression. My family and I did everything we could to help her, including residential placement, inpatient therapy, outpatient therapy, private therapy, group therapy, counseling with nutritionists, psychologists, and psychiatrists. Nothing was really helping until we finally tried equine therapy. Beginning in 9th grade, my daughter rode horses 5 days a week during the school year. We were trying to keep her life as normal as possible, and because the Equestrian Center was here, she was able to ride, stay in school, and live at home. While all the other treatment programs are covered by insurance, the only treatment program that offered any hope was not covered by insurance. So my husband and I covered the cost of the equine therapy ourselves. The trainers we worked with were able to make the lessons affordable. Having the Equestrian Center nearby made it logistically possible. I honestly don't know what we would have done without this resource. My daughter's story has a happy outcome. She is now a small animal veterinarian living and practicing in South Carolina. I don't think this would have been her story without the equine therapy. Please preserve this resource and please continue to work with the trainers who worked with us. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Annabelle. I'm a local parent, and I'm here to support the Orange County Equestrian Center. My teenager has been riding at the OCEC since the summer of 2021 and has found her passion in riding and caring for horses. There are so many fantastic aspects of her experience at the OCEC. She has built solid, positive relationships with her peers, mentors, instructors, and horses she works with. The school horses at the various stables are an incredible opportunity for people like my daughter to learn to ride without owning a horse. She spends several hours each week engaged in an outdoor sport that strengthens her entire body and mind. She's learning to respect and take exceptional care of another living being. She volunteers as a junior instructor regularly throughout the year to support Changing Strides, which provides equine therapy to veterans, survivors of domestic violence, neurodivergent individuals, and at-risk youth in Orange County, and during the summers to introduce younger children to horsemanship and riding. She's learning empathy and gaining problem-solving skills. She has grown more courageous, independent, and dedicated. Her membership in the Pony Club provides opportunities for acquiring in-depth veterinary knowledge, including the chance to shadow local veterinarians as they provide care for horses. She is trying new things and gaining skills and tools that will serve her for the rest of her life. The OCEC is a safe place in which she is learning to set healthy boundaries and develop the self-confidence to tackle difficult tasks and issues successfully. And she's having positive daily interactions with people from all walks of life with mutual respect and dignity. One of the most important and unique aspects of the OCEC is that it is our local setting for a female-dominated worldwide sport. Girls and young women learned to be competitive, brave. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Alex Swanson, followed by Nessa Bienbaum, and then Carol Graves.
Hello, my name is Alex Swanson. Hypothetically, it's easy to say goodbye. It's just 2 words. Good, bye, there, done. In 2 seconds, it's over. By that logic, it's easy to say anything. It's easy to say I love you. It's easy to say I hate you. It's easy to say nothing at all. But of course we know that those things are hard to say, and because they mean something. To say goodbye is to say something is leaving. Something will never be in your life again, for if it was, you would simply say see you later. But we better start getting used to it, because on June 15th, we will be saying goodbye. You, the Fair Board, will be saying goodbye. You are saying goodbye to Pony Club, a wonderful international organization that doesn't just focus on riding, but handling the horse as well. It's things like horse management that are so important and that teach us those valuable life skills. Last weekend on Sunday, the Newport Mesa Pony Club attended a show jumping rally. The rally isn't just like any other show. It's about your horse management as well as your riding. From the moment you get there, from the moment you leave, it's constantly go, 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 making sure your horse is happy as can be. Taking care of your tack, cleaning the stalls right away, making sure everything is organized. It's responsibility to the highest form, and there's nothing more rewarding than when you do get to sit down for a sec and because you know everything is done. One particular thing I will probably always remember from it was the warm-up. Anyone who's ever been to a show knows the worst part is the warm-up ring. It's like LA traffic. No one knows where anyone's going. Sometimes even the person driving doesn't know where they're going. It's chaos, and most of the time, people are only worried about their own horse. But at this show, it wasn't like that. People were good at communicating where they were going, calling outside and inside, and what jump they were going to. And when I told one person I was on their inside, they said, thank you. I haven't been showing a ton, but I've never heard anyone acknowledge the assist like that. And that's what Pony Club is about, acknowledging the assist, showing gratitude when they do something for you, taking care of your horse while they pack you around on a bad day, looking out for your team like they look out for you. And it never matters what color ribbon you get because you looked out for your team and they looked out for you. Pony Club helps people grow into amazing men and women that go into the world and limiting that access. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Nessa. Followed by Carol Graves, followed by Harper Hildebrand.
Hello, and and thank you for your attention. My name is Nessa Badenbaum, and I am 15 years old. I'm a member of the Newport Mesa Pony Club at the OC Fairgrounds. I began riding at the fairgrounds around 3 years ago and quickly joined the Pony Club. Horses have always been a passion of mine, and the fairgrounds has given me so many opportunities to pursue my dreams. Aside from progressing in riding, Pony Club has opened up a whole new world of knowledge for me. It has taught me countless strategies that I apply in my daily life. Through Pony Club, I have learned to advocate for myself and others, speak to authority officials, and challenge decisions which I believe could be improved. Recently, I had the chance to attend a Pony Club rally. This is a competition where we are not judged only on our riding abilities, but also how well we care for our horses and equipment. I was placed on a versatile team with people of all different abilities. Riding is typically an individual sport, but Pony Club equips us with social strategies, which I find myself using constantly. Being at a rally, there's always something to be done, and honestly, it was difficult for me to navigate my own horse while also being there for my teammates. Still, I was able to use my Pony Club tactics to communicate with them effectively, even under pressure. This skill goes far beyond just a horse show, and I know that my teammates and I will utilize it into our adult lives. Also, I got selected to be the team captain, which taught me a valuable lesson in responsibility. One of my teammates got marked unfairly in one category of the rally, and it was my job to set the record straight. In a Pony Club setting, when you believe a score or decision is wrong, you have the chance to use a reliable resource and make an inquiry as to why the jury made that decision. So, respectfully, I would like to make an inquiry. How can you argue that horses are not accessible to everyone while simultaneously driving out one of the last standing pony clubs in the Southern California region? Pony Club provides access not only to advanced practical knowledge, but also well-trained lesson horses which are available to all students. These horses are so versatile in their abilities that students are constantly learning and adapting to their environments.
Thank you. Carol Gray, followed by Franklin Goldenbrand, followed by Aileen Anderson.
I was at the arena walkthrough, and it was frustrating because Andre and Evie, nobody on the staff knew how to fix a sinkhole in an arena or who could authorize what. It took 20 minutes of conversation between 5 people to decide that they would fix a sinkhole. This is after they were notified that this sinkhole caused a horse to trip and fall on a kid. There's this perception that, we think this facility is ours, or, we're entitled about things. Nothing could be further from the truth. Seeing an accident involving a horse can be very scary because of their size. We have a sense of urgency around accidents and how to prevent them by always putting safety first. And I must say, it was worrying to see that, who had a contract with whom and the scope of work was more of the focus for Andre. It just didn't seem like a safety first attitude to me. And please understand, I'm not trying to be a brat or entitled. I just don't want some child to have to live their life with a completely preventable traumatic brain injury. I'm sure we have that mutual goal. I'm surprised to learn that this horse fell on the child 10 months ago. The trainer advised Evie about it and has been asking for the arena to be repaired for the last 10 months. I'm not here to point fingers at anyone, but we need better communication. I'm comfortable having any conversation with anyone about any topic, and I will do so in good faith. I would ask that you not receive our sense of urgency about certain things as being pushy, but as genuine and sincere concerns, having seen what can happen when things are done or done incorrectly.
Thank you.
And I will email you my full comment.
Next we have Harper Hildebrand, followed by Aileen Anderson, and then lastly, Gibran Scout.
Good morning, Chairman and Directors. My name is Harper. I'm a member of the Newport Mesa Pony Club. Pony Club is an organization for children and even adults to teach people about horsemanship and how to properly take care of your horse. It requires a lot of patience and responsibilities. I think without Pony Club, I wouldn't be the person I am today. The Equestrian Center is a very awesome place because kids can go there to learn how to take care of animals and how to learn to do different responsibilities and to grow to be amazing adults and good people. The Equestrian Center is Also a very good place because the people there are very friendly and sweet. I love going there to riding the school horses and going to help take care of them and doing all the barn chores. It is a very good organization, and I hope you don't try to wash us out. Thank you. Because
So I'm Eileen Anderson. Good morning to the board. Thank you for listening to our comments. I want to ask that the board stop and think for a moment. I think there are two outstanding issues that really have not been resolved that are creating a challenge in terms of moving forward with the current rate hikes, and I think that's going to come back to you later. Is the deficit, that the stated deficit, a gift of public funds or not? The board has not voted on this issue. It's been raised repeatedly. We have made the point that under California law, it's unlikely to be, and everything that is shaping the urgency here derives from that decision, and that decision hasn't been made. It has to be made by you. I think you need to come back to it and revisit it. In addition, the details of what programming are going to be offered under the new vision are critical. The devil is in those details and how things are going to work. My understanding, there's been no information conveyed to us what horses are going to be used, what trainers are going to be used, what facilities are going to be available. Without that information, you really run the risk of killing the existing programming in the absence of any replacement. I would urge you to think carefully about that. With that, I'd like to ask a couple of questions. The board has directed staff to reduce contract costs. What negotiations have been conducted to achieve that? Realizing that you only need 9 months of fly spray as opposed to 12 is a mistake. That's not a negotiation. What negotiations have happened? How does monetizing the support infrastructure of the Equestrian Center, every square inch has a label on it of added costs that were not expected in the contracts. How does that achieve the goal of increasing access? Is going to drive costs in a way that are unsustainable for the current trainers. And I will point to you, to the kids who were up here and spoke so eloquently. This was a pony club rally that was south of San Diego. It took place this last weekend. I volunteered it as a chaperone and a judge. I met these kids at the barn at 3:30 in the morning on Sunday to load horses. 17 kids went, along with their associated adults, to that rally in order to enable them to compete. They took 2 first places, 2 second places. Thank you for your comments. That programming is going to go away.
And we have one final comment on Zoom, Marcy Evans. Go ahead, Gibber.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we don't need
We don't have a speaker? Okay, sorry. Okay, then I'll have to speak loud. Good morning. Thank you all for being here. Mission critical has been mentioned in these meetings before, and that it's not mission critical. I would say that what's mission critical is different for everybody. That's like when our governor said essential businesses. I would say that mission critical is different for everybody. This is our life. I know it's not your life. I get that. That's cool. Sports, not my life. Concerts, not my life. But I get that it's the life for a lot of you. And I get that that's mission critical for a lot of you. And I think it's important to respect that what's mission critical for the public is different for everybody. And I think the fact that there have been thousands of letters, literally thousands of people who have told you this is important, needs to be respected, okay? So what's mission critical? We all have beloved pets, right? Everyone here has a beloved pet who they've cried over when they've passed. Our pets, I have a horse who's 29 years old. I've had him for 24 years. I can't take him home, okay? There's 5 places left in Orange County, 5 public boarding places to keep horses. I can't take him home. Until they change zoning in local cities, I can't take him home. Oh, but even if I could, he won't fit on my patio, okay? I think it's important to recognize and respect that what's mission critical is different for everybody. And this is mission critical, okay? You took an oath to manage this amazing public property. It doesn't belong to us, it belongs to everybody. It's not yours, it's not mine. I do pay.
Thank you, Gibber. Next we have Marcy Evans on Zoom. Public comment.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. My name is Marcy Evans.
I'm the Executive Director of the Herd Foundation and 5 Barbie, Orange County's only direct-to-consumer grass-fed beef cattle ranch. I work in agriculture and ranching for a living, and I applaud the efforts of the board for furthering the mission of the Orange County Fairgrounds by creating equitable community access to agriculture, entertainment, cultural, and educational experiences. I personally love county fairs. I've always enjoyed the fairgrounds. However, I've been following the issues at the Equestrian Center since 2009, when I first went to graduate school at UC Irvine. Livestock and agriculture in Orange County historically relied on the horse, and the stables the board operates at the Costa Mesa facility are public service to the local community. And this should be a jewel that you guys have. And the presentations we've had in the past are really exciting about what you want to do for the future. However, I urge the board to work with stakeholders, the nonprofit organizations, and the trainers currently at the Equestrian Center, who are all members of the public and are currently providing the public programming and horse use to the public that you all want. In reviewing the correspondence in past board meeting minutes going back all the way to November of 2022, it's apparent that the Locust Works contract needs to be looked at, and that issues with welfare, animal welfare, and fiscal issues at the Equestrian Center need to be looked at again for California taxpayer reasons. I very much look forward to what you all want to do, but you already have existing public programming there, and the welfare issues and the fiscal issues need to be addressed. I urge the board to rescind the contract with Locust Works, open up a new operator. I know that's not what has been decided the last couple months.
Thank you, Marcy.
That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. We actually had 2 additional public comments come in, so we'll take those here. Lauren Mascareno and Noelle Anderson.
I'll be quick. Thank you so much, everyone. My name is Noelle. I've spoken a couple of times. I just have 3 quick points. One point would be the turning our time from 3 minutes to 2. I understand that you have this meeting booked for a short period of time, but it would have been nice if we'd started on time. That could have saved us some public comment. I have spoken in favor of formalizing some vendor relationships with the existing trainers. I just want to emphasize that if everyone has to move out of this facility at the end of June, people are not going to be coming back. You're going to be losing horses that can be used for leases, for public programming, and to benefit the existing program. So I've said that before up here. I'm just going to say it again so it's on the formal record. That's all. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to address you today. My name is Lauren Mascarenas. I'm a community member. I have also spoken via your Zoom link here, but I'm a community member here in Orange County. I participate and ride at the Equestrian Center here at the OC Fairgrounds, a program that has brought a lot of benefit to my life. I'm also a local businesswoman here in the area as well. We've heard a lot from many different people today. We've heard from students that are actively participating in the programs that are really benefiting for this. And I just want to emphasize that these decisions that we're making today, these conversations, really need to be a little bit more collaborative and ask for the board to really kind of reconsider how we're voting for these things, because something as simple to you as what might seem like a rent increase is detrimental to these programs, to these women-owned businesses, and will impact the kids that we saw talking today. And I think it's really important to think about how these decisions are not just directly impacting the bottom line, but also how they're impacting the community in which we are all in together. So ask you guys to reconsider the votes that have been made, to remove the topic from the consent agenda today, and to look at how we can do a better job of collaborating and getting these programs in front of kids that are actively using them today and benefiting from them today. It makes no sense to impact that in the way that we're currently proposing. So ask for your reconsideration there. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes our general public comment. We're going to move to item number 7, which is the consent calendar. We do have several public comments for that, so we'll get going. And I believe we can finish before our closed session. So first we have Alberta Mueller, followed by Leanne Gonzalez, followed by Laura Maximowski.
Hi, my name's Alberta. Thank you so much for volunteering and taking this position. I'm sure it's not a very thankful position or seat to sit in. As a community member, I'm very, very upset about what I saw in the last meeting. I wasn't inspired to come speak, but after seeing the behavior by most of these board members not giving the attention that these women deserve. These are women that own businesses that are directly affected by your vote. An appointed position. We can't vote you out of office. We want to work with you. Appointed position. These women need to be listened to, especially by the 8 women that are sitting there. These women own businesses. Women own businesses. DEI, equality, they want the equal rights that Lopez has been given. They want to speak or be spoken to given the time that you've given the Lopez. The Lopez man you sat down with and said, we're so great, he knocked a couple $100 off their rent. When do they have a voice? Please, women on this board, you have to stand up for the women that are going to lose their jobs. They're gone. This is not a joke, you guys. Women, my daughter rides. She's affected by this. Yes, here we go. Yep, here we go. This was something you put up last meeting, after the board meeting.
Excuse me, what item on the consent calendar is that tied to?
Oh,
That's not a consent calendar item.
I am so sorry. You know,
Sorry,
I'm
the
not.
contracts for the Equestrian Center.
That's what I was.
It's not on today's
The contract. I was gonna slip into the contracts that you made. Okay. Okay. So sorry, Nick. You can call me back up when it's my turn. I'm not really familiar with how this works.
We're addressing,
When you're gonna address that, my name's
the
Alberta.
consent calendar, here. These are the public comments for the consent calendar, so please keep the comments related directly to the consent calendar.
Got it.
All right.
Leanne Gonzalez.
So the contract that's being presented, the rate increase was not illegally passed by this board, and I know you'll be discussing that in your private sessions.
It's a contract not on today's agenda.
Yes, it is. I'm sorry, can I restart my time? It is on today's agenda. It's part of the consent calendar. It's in.
We do have the draft equestrian.
Yes.
Contract on
Thank you. So can I start my time again, please? Thank you, Summer. So the rate increases were never passed by this board legally. All right, and it's the gift of public funds, which outside legal opinion says it does not hold weight. The equestrian community has no problem paying fair market rates. The costs of everything have gone up. The proposed rental contract is not that. Can you imagine renting an apartment or a storage locker for 10 years and being asked to come up with an additional 50% security deposit, housing a family member in a full-service facility and being hit with a 52% rent increase? The government has rental rate increase laws for a reason. Charging customers extra square foot footage fees for items needed for the care and welfare of the horses is also unfair. These per square inch fees for basic storage solutions like drying racks for feed buckets, rather than having them strewn about the public area or using secure rodent-proof containers for extra feed, creating an unhygienic situation. These fees simply tax every inch of publicly owned land being used for public benefit. It does not reflect any actual costs incurred by the district and are simply junk fees. The $5,000 annual facility use fee for nonprofits directly contradicts the board's goal of fostering free and low-cost access to horses. But nonprofits won't survive here and new ones won't come in. How does eliminating nonprofits from your model achieve your mission? As taxpayers, we already contribute to utilities for the maintenance of the state-owned property through paying taxes. Charging residents again for these utilities is double taxation. The good news is there's a pathway forward. The Lopez Works contract expires at the end of the year, as the remaining terms are option years. Pause these ridiculous rental rate increases today and plan to terminate the LWI contract at its natural end. Form a specific equine center committee made up of board members, staff, and actual industry professionals who can assist with both getting the operating costs within industry standard and help you develop the awesome programming that you want. The public wants the opportunity to finally work with you collaboratively and to have a fairly negotiated contract.
Next we have Laura Maximowski, followed by Penelope Eli, followed by Robert Buchanan. If you could line up, please. And again, keep this to the consent calendar.
So first off, let me remind you that a 3 out of 6 vote is not a majority and thus not passing. Also, this property has a rich history that was created in 1973. You guys will be closing the Equestrian Center if you guys vote in favor of this. And I can write your names on this tombstone because your names will go down in history as being the ones to have closed this property down. And this rate hike will do that. You are destroying all of the value that these people are here to try to represent to you. You guys can do your own research, but Honestly, in my opinion, Michelle is manipulating you guys to believe that this new vision is something that it's unfortunately not going to. It sounds really good, but we haven't even actually heard a plan of what it really is. I'm not sure if you guys have, but until we have, we can't really get on board with that. You guys have existing horse people that have horses, have value here to offer the community, and they just want to stick around to be able to continue to do that. They're happy to provide you whatever transparency you feel that you need out of that. Look to hire them. Why reinvent the wheel and redo what you already have? You don't have to start from scratch. There are people fighting to try to keep their horses and keep their businesses and keep their nonprofits here. It already exists. Again, I can start writing your names in now so that we can all let you guys know in the future that this is and what will actually happen to this place. So if you don't believe me, do your research. Michelle has tried really hard to shut this place down many times in the past. This is not the first go around. Again, there's no need to reinvent what you already have existing here. Lopez Works is definitely destroying the facility in many ways, as has been presented. It's dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Lopez Works is directly related to the rates.
Equestrian Center rates pulled out of consent calendar. Good morning, Chairman and Directors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today, and I appreciate that you listen to the public and consider our thoughts on these matters that relate to this important public space. As you are aware, nearly 1,800 residents have emailed you asking you to consider carefully before making the Equestrian Center the most expensive Southern California. These letters were delivered to each of you in each of the board members at last month's board meeting, but there has been no mention of these letters as public correspondences in the minutes of your meeting. I just need to know if we need to bring copies again to the next meeting so they'll be entered into the record. The reasons thousands of people have written in is that they know the impact by raising the rates by 71% will have on the programs like Pony Club and Changing Strides and other programs that allow California residents of all ages, all demographics, and all economic backgrounds to enjoy horsemanship opportunities. Raising rates by excessively high levels will make the OC Fairgrounds Equestrian Center the exclusive playground for the wealthy, which runs counter to everything you claim to stand for. We understand your staff is working on public programming for the Equestrian Center, but we haven't seen the details of anything yet. Why not work with the equestrians instead of against us? You have built-in equestrian experts on site, and we want to help. We have the horses, the expertise, and the enthusiasm. We'd like to be part of the solution and not be shunted aside to a far corner of the Equestrian Center or the ranch and be told to keep quiet, cut big checks, and stay out of the way. I know many of you may not value what we do, but thousands of our community do. Please listen to the community. You are appointed to serve. Thank you.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for letting me speak. I like to be respectful but direct. I got 5 points. Please connect and partner with trainers so that public programming they have in mind can be successful, include horses. 2, please find someone that has horse experience to take over the feeding, cleaning, arena maintenance. 3, please cancel your contract with Lopez Works and consider contracting with a disabled veteran-owned business. The contract is financially unsound, and Lopez Works is charging way over industry norm. Please do not increase the board over 50% on new clients and trainers that are still at the fairground. These trainers and clients are paying industry standard and should not be the ones punished for a contract that was not negotiated or even industry standard. And 5, please utilize and support the nonprofits that are already in operation at the fairgrounds. Memorial Day is right around the corner. I'm a Iraq, Afghanistan veteran. Most people think barbecues and beer. I'm haunted by the memories of friends I lost still to suicide, opioid overdoses. My new mission is combating that, and we want to partner with this location. The trainers, the subject matter experts are all sitting in the chairs. Keep the main thing the main thing. being of service. I'm a simple man. This is a huge resource that a lot of my friends and those who came after me, men and women, warriors, are going to benefit from. I really hope you consider not working with them. We can do a lot to be of service to our heroes. That's all I got. Thank you.
I've been told that with the rate increase in June that this facility will be in line with others in the region. That simply isn't true. And even if you believe that, by the end of the year, you will be the most expensive by far in all of Southern California, public or private. I talked about the other problems with the facility that we're starting to get some movement, but there's a long way to go. You're in no position to raise our rates after the facility has been kind of run into the ground from the miscommunications and crosstalk. Trying to raise our rates with all the known issues, in my view, makes you slumlords, horse slumlords. I don't mean that personally toward anyone. I'm just keeping it 100. I'm trying to be descriptive, very direct, and very honest. You must deal with your own fiscal mismanagement and bring the cost down to industry standards. Stop punishing us for your poor choices. Pull the Equestrian Center off the consent calendar and vote no to raise our rates. And I will email you my full comments. And I must say, nothing says we don't want to hear from the public more than cutting our lousy, our minuscule 3 minutes down to 2.
Thank you. Followed by Lisa Sabo, followed by Tyson Louise Huntley.
My name is Sarah Khalifa. I'm a trainer and co-founder of Changing Strides. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning. I can only speak for myself, but I feel that by putting this faulty Equestrian Center contract on the consent calendar sadly feels sneaky and dismissive of the public's input that has been tirelessly expressed. I urge one of you to pull it off the list. This process is being very rushed, and only one board member has taken the time to thoroughly understand the situation and not make any hasty, ill-informed decisions. Our nonprofit, Changing Strides, offers completely free lessons in equine therapy to children in foster care, survivors of domestic violence, and underprivileged youth. We are already successfully doing what you are trying to do. Why is the board not asked to team up with us? We would love to get bigger and do more, but we need funding. This is the perfect opportunity for us to come together. We need to keep the entire 7.5 acre footprint an equestrian center for horses and riding opportunities. This is not a ranch. No one here, including you all, are ranchers. We are equestrians who ride at a public equestrian center in the middle of the city. How cool would it be to flip the narrative and be the board members who come to the rescue for women-owned small businesses and nonprofits and support them instead of crushing them? I guess let me know when I run out of time. Director Pham, was it you who mentioned at a previous meeting that you had a friend whose daughter rode horses and they paid $85 a lesson? It was my understanding that you felt it was very expensive. You're right, it is very expensive. We're in a recession. One of you actually knows someone whose child will be affected by these outrageous contracts. That child is going to lose their trainer or not be able to afford lessons. You think it's expensive now? We're going to have to raise our prices so high that we will only be able to serve the 1% of uber wealthy. And those people do not want to ride at the worst kept facility. Those wealthy people ride at the most expensive, luxurious private facilities with the most modern and high-end amenities. This is not a lucrative business. I often cannot pay my vet bill, board bill, and my rent in the same month. Where am I going to find an extra $5K for this 50% deposit I suddenly have to fork out? I have boarded horses here for 15 plus years and never not paid my bill. And I cannot afford to pay $5,000 per year in fees to be able to offer lessons and training elsewhere. Okay, thank you. I made it in 2 minutes. It wasn't you, sorry. I don't remember who it was, but someone on the board knew someone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, it's our goal to work collaboratively with you to work with you. And we feel so bad because in March we had that vote. It was an agendized item and it was a vote. Well, the vote failed. We sat there and knew the vote failed and we begged you. We're like, the vote failed. And the attorney said the vote passed. And then April came, we said the vote failed, right? And you just ignored us. So unfortunately, we had Shepard Mullen offer to represent us and show that the vote failed. And then it gets stuck 2 months later in the consent calendar. I mean, just like lack of governance, you know? Let's have some transparency here. We are professionals. We've been doing this for years. We love the idea of free programming. That's why we have Changing Stride. Just every once a month, just about, we have the orphans come in, and it's wonderful. And I struggle, too, with, like, gift of public funds. Well, free lessons, is that gift of public funds? I don't know. I'm just a horse trainer, right? And there's so many hidden fees in this new contract. For example, this is a little shelf we have at the back of the barn that we dry our buckets on. We use it to put the buckets on. $109, Sabo. I'm going to be charged now $28 a month to keep this little shelf right at the back of the barn. You see that, you guys? This little shelf, $28 a month. Right? I mean, it's like, really, you know, come on. It's like all these little fees. And we have no place to go. Newport Mesa Riding Center Pony Club, you know, has no place to go. We're one of the largest pony clubs in the nation. It's wonderful what we do. And I grew up in pony club. I'm an A pony clubber, and it's like Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts on steroids for horses. And then someone sent me this yesterday. It's a guide for states cracking down on junk feeds to lower costs for consumers. Resource outlines actions states can take to build on the Biden-Harris administration's efforts on junk fee and spur private sector action. So stop the junk fees, help us, please pull it from the consent calendar.
Hi, I'm Piper Huntley. I am in Pony Club. I am an instructor at the fairgrounds and a rider. And I'm speaking on the issue that we need to pull the Equestrian Center from the consent calendar, please. I'm going to share a story to tell you why. So I teach with Changing Strides, which is a really sweet organization. And recently they partnered with Olive Crest, which is a safe home for kids facing abuse, who've lost their parents. And I taught this one boy, and we put him on our favorite horse ever. And for 10 minutes, we walked around, and he was dead silent. He was so scared. This poor boy was so scared. We walked around for 10 minutes. We didn't say a single word. Finally, I decided that we should pull him into the arena, and I said, do you want to learn how to trot and go over poles? And he was like, sure. So we walked in there. We trotted around for the next half an hour. And for the next half an hour, that boy was smiling and laughing, and he didn't want to end his lesson. And so we came back to the barn, and I was showing him how to take care of his horse. We put his horse away, and his caretakers came up to me, and they said, that boy hasn't smiled like that in months, since he came to Olive Crest. He had faced abuse. He had lost his parents, and he came to the Equestrian Center. He spent time with the horses. The horses are therapy animals. They can feel a heartbeat from 4 feet away. That horse connected with that boy, and he felt a connection. And I'm asking you, please pull the Equestrian Center from the consent calendar for the future of me, for the future of the other kids in this room. That you're putting us on the consent calendar, lumping us in with everything else. You're trying to raise the prices. You're trying to kick all of us out. But you're going to kick out also those at-risk kids, those kids who would have been on the street. If you're putting us on the consent calendar, it's not just me and the Pony Club, but it's also those kids, those orphans who come in with Olive Crest, with the home for the at-risk kids, come in and do equine therapy with our horses because it's accessible. It's the only place here that they can do this. It's right here in Orange County. It's accessible to everyone. It's accessible to Olive Crest.
Thank you.
Pull us from the consent calendar.
Followed by Maggie Hamlin, followed by Whitney Hodges on Zoom.
Okay. Hi, I'm Claire. I am talking about pulling the OC Equestrian Center off of the consent calendar, and I'm doing that by telling a story. I was adopted at 6 months old, very young age. With being adopted, that has definitely affected my mental health and just my well-being. Whether it was wondering who my biological parents are, who my family is, if I had a brother or a sister, and that has affected me my whole entire life. And I was given an outlet, which was horseback riding. I got to volunteer for my barn. I got to experience day-to-day at a barn. And I got to feel a sense of responsibility that was taking care of another animal. And I got to brush the horse. I got to hoof pick the horse, which is taking care of its hooves. If you don't take care of your horse, you don't see an infection that could be in its hoof. You don't see a cut that can be on its body. And that was just so amazing for me to be able to take care of an animal that was so much bigger than me. And it was something for me that I could say, here's a sense of responsibility that isn't just taking care of myself or worrying about my grades at school or worrying about what's going on at home. It was an outlet. It's something that I have right now, right in front of me, that I can teach kids. I can make connections with horse people that I can use their horse, and I can give my friends an opportunity to groom a horse, take care of a horse, walk a horse. And if you take this equestrian center away, we won't have that. Thank you.
All right, good morning. My name is Mackie Hamblin. Thank you all for being here today. I'm here to ask you to pull the equestrian template off of the consent calendar. The rate hikes are evicting blue-collar, small, women-owned businesses. But I do want to ask you a few questions, and a few questions that start with why. Why were you told a vote that failed had actually passed? Why, Director Kovacevic, were we presented a line-by-line item of the charges to increase the price by 75%, yet the $151 decrease was just a blanket, oh, we cut costs? Director Pham, why was the PowerPoint altered after it was presented to the board last meeting? Why were only one of the 3 paragraphs on the Equestrian Center presentation by Michelle up on the board and not presented to the entire board? Director Belazikian, why have no repairs been done to the property since the OC Fair staff took over managing the property? Director Rubicava Garcia, why were none of the equestrian portions of the last strategic plan ever actually implemented? Director LaBelle, why don't you ask the current trainers and nonprofits for more transparency if it's lacking? Why aren't current nonprofits on the property being utilized to kickstart the programs that we're all talking about we want to be a part of? Director Ruiz, why are no horses lined up for any of these programs? Director Jackson, why does the ranch program only service the school across the street and not reach the underserved community in Orange County? Why can't we all work together? Why is there so much divide between the board and the equestrians and everyone that's here? Everyone here is open to paying fair rates. We understand that things are going to go up, but a 50 to 70% increase is not something that's sustainable. Who here is willing to stand up and make that stand and be that person? Thank you.
Whitney Hodges on Zoom. Whitney on Zoom. Okay. Final comment, public comment on the consent calendar. We have Gibran Stout.
Okay. Sorry, thought the Zoom was going first. Alrighty, consent calendar. Consent calendar items are for items that are non-controversial. Clearly, this is controversial. Here's the list of all the contracts. The one we want you to pull, you know what the difference is? It's not a contract, it's a template. It should not be here. It has not been negotiated. Clearly, it's controversial. In addition to having zero negotiation, all these other contracts have been negotiated. All the terms have been negotiated with the vendors. The template, nah, hasn't happened. There's been no negotiation. In addition to that, it includes junk fees, a lot of junk fees. Many of you are familiar with how the White House is fighting against junk fees. One of the definitions of junk fees by the whitehouse.gov website are fees which take advantage of circumstances in which consumers do not have the power to shop around, i.e., captive consumers. Consumers already locked into a product or service and have no choice but to pay the fee. And as we've already established, it's not that there's no room at the end, there's no ends left, okay? We don't have any options. So the fact that it's on the consent calendar at all just seems like a backdoor way to get a vote that was improperly approved, snuck through the back door. Your governance policy manual 3.05 clearly states that in order for a motion to be approved, it must be a majority of members present, including abstentions. There were 6 members present at that meeting. There was only 3 yeses. So to stick this template that has not been negotiated, that has excessive junk fees, is just being sneaky. We are happy to pay. We are happy to pay fair market value. We are happy to sit down and open our books and come up with a fair contract.
Okay, so we are going to break for closed session because we do have the room reserved, and it lines up exactly at this time. So we'll go on a quick break. This closed session we do not expect to be very long, and then we will come back and address the consent.
Otherwise, there's
Okay, we got that. Okay, we'll jump back. We did have closed session and have no other additional reports regarding that, and so we'll move back to where we were on the consent calendar, item number 7. We've received the public comment. We have the consent calendar here to approve. There's nothing that staff needs to pull. So I'll start first by making a motion to approve the consent calendar. So I did make that motion. However, I do want to open this up to board discussion and debate. The reason being is because of the equestrian rates that are on the calendar. The reason they're on the consent calendar is because this has been happening in tandem, where we've been trying to push forward the new model with the June deadline approaching and making sure that we address the gift of public funds issue. But at the same time, we have been informed by council that the previous vote that we took on the rental rates actually failed. So we incorrectly interpreted that as a vote that passed, when in actuality it failed. So the good news is we have those rates, and they've been updated to reflect the decrease in light of the cost savings that we found, $151. So those are updated in the draft template as well. And so nobody's trying to sneak through a consent calendar without a board discussion on the rates, especially with the previous vote failing. We need this vote to carry with the consent calendar and the draft template with the new rates in order for those rates to be valid. So just to be clear, this is the board discussion and vote that will approve the rates, and hopefully this will be a valid result, right? So just setting the stage with that, and then, I want to give a little bit of
Director Kovacevic,
yes.
I'll go ahead and second your motion, so we have a motion and a second
Thank
on
you.
the floor before discussion.
Thank you, Director LaBelle. And so I'll lead the discussion just because I want to give you guys my thoughts. I spent a lot of time on this. I've been reading a lot of the messages from the public, spoke to members of the public, spoke to elected officials, spoke to reporters. So I've been really deep in this issue. And I think one thing that I just wanted to do for sure is kind of, give the board the overview of kind of what we're doing as a board, right? Because there's been a lot of things that have been asked of us, and things that we certainly should take into consideration, but many of those things fall on the staff and the operational component. The board's, the board needs to really address the governance, the policy, and the vision. And so, again, there was additional comments today saying that, you know, we did discuss the gift of public funds issue, or we didn't vote on it, rather, but we did discuss it at length. It's in the December board meeting minutes, and you can, I believe you can access the recording for that if anyone's interested in revisiting that discussion. That's not an item we need to vote on as a board. That's an item we need to discuss and ultimately decide if there's something that we can give public funds to or not. We decided we didn't feel comfortable under the previous model that we would be getting around this gift of public funds issue, and so that's why we voted to change the model. And we also heard a lot today. I mean, this is just, honestly, I just don't even, I've never seen anything like this. We voted to open up our facility to thousands of people in the community for the exact things that we're hearing are important to the community, things like equine therapy, underprivileged kids, riding lessons, all of this type of stuff. Spending, we're gonna spend, as you guys know, millions of dollars out of our own public funds to benefit, yet we are being told that we're actually closing the facility, and we're being told that we're taking away things when we're literally spending millions of dollars. So let's not conflate what's going on here. We voted for a new vision where we're gonna be spending millions of dollars to directly get the public access to these horses. That's something we already did. Now, the second piece of that was, as a board, we decided we don't want to, we love the new model, we love the new vision, and a lot of people do. However, that doesn't mean we want to throw out the old model. What about where they can coexist, right? And so that's where we got to as a board coming out of that December meeting was, let's bifurcate and let's have the current private and boarders and trainers have the opportunity to stay in the facility. However, the gift of public funds discussion was had in December, and we determined that that needed to be done at market rate. And so what escalated from there is essentially an analysis of the market rate and passing that along directly at cost. I mean, we're not even marking this up, but we're passing it directly at cost. And that's how we got to the rental rates that we're discussing here and voting on here today, okay? So wanted to give everyone that background. And when it comes to those rates, there's been a lot of talk about the Lopez contract. And we've even heard people say from the public here today that they've said, and this is a quote, the cost of everything has gone up. And so we discussed, do we want to put this back out for RFP or IFB after we had one bidder last time, and that was, you know, quite a while ago. Costs have only gone up. Is that the smartest and best way to find the cost savings that we're all looking for? Again, we're not making profit, so why would we not want the costs to be lower for our boarders and trainers, right? Is that the best way, or is the best way to have staff get deep in the operational details with, because again, board's not going to do that. It's not for the board to do, but staff to do it with the contractor and find savings. And that's the route that we directed staff to do, and they can do that. So the last thing I'll say is that a lot of the things that we've heard today, you know, things about let's partner with the existing boarders or existing trainers that are operating on the facility today, the existing nonprofits that are operating on the facility that are doing great things. Let's partner with them on the new model. We can do that. That's not for the board to decide on this. We're deciding the rental rates based on the gift of public funds issue and based on our costs. The staff and working with the facilities committee is working on the new vision and can do all of these things. All of these things can be done. So I don't want anyone to think that by approving rates, we're somehow limiting our ability to work cohesively and collaboratively with the current equestrian community, because we're not. We have the ability to do that. Staff can do that. And we do expect them to be able to do that. And I think there's some updates from the facility committee about how we can get even more feedback from this group of private boarders and trainers that have been using the Equestrian Center. So again, wanted to kind of set the stage there, have everyone kind of understand what truly we're discussing, why, and kind of how we got here through the different processes, which I think we followed very properly, and I think we got to the right place. And now it's simply a decision of, do we want to approve these rates that, that cover our costs, or, do we want to, go some different direction that, there's some better path forward, right? And with that, open it up to the board for discussion before we move to a vote.
Just to the chair, Michelle, after the increases in June 15, where are we going to be at with the rest of the equestrian centers that are in the area? Are we at right around more or less of what they are? What?
Right. I can give you specific information. So with the June 15th increase for a standard 12 by 12, we'll be at $756. In comparison, San Juan Capistrano is at $910 for a 12 by 12. Huntington Central Park Equestrian Center is at $861 for a 12 by 12. Peacock Hill is at $775. I mean, I can keep going on. Serrano Creek is lower at $502. Some of the private facilities like Nellie Gale is at $775. Coto Preserve is at $825, and then I have some comparison.
That's fair enough. And also, Michelle, prior to the announcement of the rate increases, were we getting complaints on LWI prior to that?
There seems to be an
there
seems to have been an escalation after the March board meeting. Our staff documents, any concerns or complaints that come into the office.
Okay,
but I think you all have heard it too in your emails that you've received.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's the reason I was. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, I have a question too. Director Jackson, I have a question. I've heard the percentage increase. And I'm not sure it's referring to the June rate increase or by January of 2025. So I'm really not sure of how that works. So I've heard a lot of numbers. I've heard 52%, I've heard 75, I've heard a lot of numbers. Just wanted to, for my purposes too, to clarify what that rate increase would be maybe as of January when it's all said and done.
Right, so when the full effect of the, I have a calculator here somewhere.
It's here.
Oh, there.
And second part of that, I'm sorry, still Director Jackson. How does that relate to competitors, others out there in the field, boarding costs for a 12 by 12?
So I gave you comparison rates based on the increase for June 15th. We don't know how those other facilities are going to increase. I mean, we'd have to look at January 1st and see what they are compared to, our 979. So the full force of the increase, which will happen on January 1st of 2025, is a 52% increase from what it is today. If we go what it is today to this first step, so it'll be a 17.4% increase on January 15th, and then we go to 868.
I'm sorry, was that on June 15th?
Sorry, what did I say?
January.
Oh, no, June 15th,
Okay.
sorry. If we go from 868, then between June 15th and the next increase on October 1st is 14.8% increase, and then if we go 979, then it'll be 12.8% between October 1st and January 1st of 2025. So again, it's hard for us to say how we would compare in January because we don't know what those other facilities were.
I understand, that's
Yeah.
very fair, we were the response to that.
There was one facility that is doing the same thing, right? State facility.
Oh, yeah, there's state-owned property, mid-Pennsylvania. It's, Bear Creek that's also state property, and they're going through a very, very similar process right now. We've been following the proceedings with their board of directors. The staff presented some break-even figures to them last week in their board meeting, and they were proposing over $1,100 for a 12-by-12 stall to cover costs. So, I mean, to Director Kovacevich's point, everything's going up. It's expensive.
Director Rubalcaba Garcia?
So, this is Director Rubalcaba Garcia. So I just have a couple of questions. Have we ever had any rate increases in the past that affected the equestrian center?
Yeah, there, typically there's an increase on a yearly basis. Some facilities do every 6 months, but yes, we have had increases.
And then, do we ever ask the boarders how much they increase their rates?
I don't believe we've ever asked.
So we allow the boarders to completely operate their private businesses at the leisure of their.
Sure.
Okay.
They set their rates.
They set their own rates. One of the things I also want to just remind everybody is this has not been a process that we've taken lightly, like our chair mentioned. Even when I was chair, we went through the process of assessing the equestrian center. And I believe back in December, the original recommendation was to close the equestrian center down completely because of the loss of revenue and the gift of public funds, which is not something we have to vote on. That's a reason for increasing the rates so that we can no longer be providing a gift of public funds, which as good stewards of the state, it is our responsibility as board members to ensure that we are protecting taxpayer dollars and not giving them away for private use. So that is the reason why I voted for this in the first place. But I do recall that we had talked about shutting the facility down completely, and then the board said, we respect the equestrians, we love having these businesses here, and we want to make sure that they have somewhere to continue operating. And that's when we discussed having this plan in place, which at that time, we did talk about how expensive it was going, or the increase of the 50%, or we were gonna assess it. So I just wanna make sure that we laid that foundation. We've looked at everything. Can you explain before we brought in Lopez, what was the operating model? Because we've done 3 things to get to this point.
Yes.
We had a private operator, we had in-house, and then we went back to a private operator. So it's not like we
considered going back to a private operator, and if we determined that if we couldn't find an operator, that the result may be shutting down if we couldn't find an operator.
Yeah.
So, and then we've actually pivoted to now saying, hey, we're gonna invest millions of dollars of our own money into this programming, into this facility for the community, and it's funny to me kind of that it's like nobody's excited about that.
I mean, I'm excited about it. For me, it's important that we're allowing access to a broader base of our population. We have 3.1 million people in Orange County. And I think that right now it's limited to just a small number of people. And of course, these individuals are members of the public. And I respect all business owners, whether you're a female, male, Hispanic, African American, Asian. I think that all of those factors are important, however, not relevant in this case. And for me, this is a business decision, and also just want to ensure that we're doing the right thing for our facility in general. And when we adopted the strategy, I thought broadening our access is key. For coming from a low-income community, a Hispanic predominantly neighborhood, for me, having access to things that were not accessible before is very important, and that's why I support the initiative that we are bringing forward today. Regardless of the name, I mean, that's semantics, if it's the ranch or whatever, I think the purpose it's going to serve in Orange County is way more important than what it's named at this time. So I support the increase in the recommendations that we've made in order for us to stop providing a gift of public funds. I've been on this board for 6 years, and it has been an issue long before that. So with that, I'm
And just, it's something I want to mention, I mean, nothing in approving these rates prevents us from finding additional cost savings. Nothing in approving these rents prevents us from making a change on who the operator of that facility is, as deemed appropriate by the contracts that we have signed. We can do that. So that's where I'm just trying to make sure the board understands that what we're doing here is we're approving something that gets us on the path to eliminate the gift of public funds issue that we all discussed and agreed upon back in December. And we're directing staff alongside the facilities committee to continue to work to fine tune the model, the vision, and the new model, and also to find ways to reduce costs for the private boarders and trainers that are coming over from the old model that are being accommodated on half of the facility. So.
Well, and just to mention too, the operator, is it LWI Lopez works, they're a Hispanic-owned business. And I know that staff went back to them and asked them to reconsider the amount that they were charging us. So that's off their backs, right? So we've now asked them to close their profit margin so that we can further enhance the opportunity for these businesses to continue operating. So I just want to highlight that as well. They've made a concession on their part to cut their profit margin so that they could continue delivering a service to the fair.
If I could add something to the discussion too, I think it's very important for the board to understand that doing business on state property is different from doing business on city property or county property. And I've discussed this with the facilities committee, and I know they're in agreement with it. One of the standards is that heavy equipment that's operated on state property on a regular basis has to comply with new AQMD standards. And so someone that's running an operation on city property or county property, that doesn't necessarily apply. So that's going to make it more expensive for a contractor. In addition, there are some labor code waivers for that classification of employee, that on state property, we have a policy that employees have to be paid overtime according to labor code. And that doesn't necessarily apply to other properties. And thirdly, often at equestrian centers, the workers are provided housing on that property. That's not allowed on this state property. So all of those factors, and there are others, but those are the three main, that just simply make it more expensive for a contractor to operate on state property.
And I'll also mention, one of the public commenters brought up something that's concerning for me is the liability issue, which I think increases our cost as well, and is something that we should take into consideration as to whether or not we want to continue allowing businesses to operate. That could potentially lead us to open ourselves up to additional liability. They mentioned somebody being injured while on state property. That's something that, if we're going to continue allowing private businesses to operate on our facility, we should probably take that into consideration at an even greater rate, because if that is the case, I don't know if they're just trying to bully us into a decision or into reversing a decision that we've already made, which I don't really take kindly to that. But I think that's something that we should actually consider as a board as to whether or not we do want to allow that sort of liability to open, or do we now have to ensure that they have enough insurance, which will increase the cost. So that, I want to bring that to, I heard that public comment, I was paying attention to that, so.
And all of the trainers who operate a business, they are required to have a certain level of insurance, and they all comply with that. We're struggling a bit with the requirement our insurance company has with having signed waivers. They have signed waivers, but our insurance company is requiring that as well. We struggle to get some of those waivers in, but we'll be focusing on that more as well. It's important.
So, Director Bam, I gotta speak because I have a hard stop at 11:45, but I wasn't there fully in the last vote on that, but looking at this in terms of giving it time and understanding the fact that, there is opportunity for folks to continue working to reduce costs. This isn't an immediate step up. This is a gradual, escalator over the next 6 months, or 7 months. So there is time here. You know, we're stepping up to something to bridge a little bit of the gap in the near term, not too much in my mind. So I'm kind of getting comfortable with that aspect of it. There's some other things that I kind of want just to understand a little to those. You know, a lot of focus is just purely on the stall cost, but what's kind of the fully loaded increase in terms of, you know, like the lockers are increasing not by 52%, they're actually increasing like 27% is one of what I'm seeing here. But then there's storage containers that we didn't charge before that are now being charged. So like, what does that look like from a fully loaded aspect?
I mean, it depends on what the client wants in terms of storage and, again, costs are going up and they're reflected in the rates. You can see what the current charge is and, what the step up is for those as well.
And then secondarily, I think another question I would have is there anything that we're doing or can do with regards to like nonprofits? Maybe offer some concessions on that front, in terms of rental rates. Because I don't know, maybe that's not a gift to public funds because they are a nonprofit.
Yeah, I mean, I would turn to Josh for confirmation on that. But if we did that for a nonprofit, we would. I mean, the businesses that are there they're private businesses. So if we gave a discount because they were doing nonprofit work, we'd have to consider that all over the fairgrounds. We'd have to, a concessionaire that comes to operate the fair, or a small business that sells at the fair. They would be entitled to the same thing.
Are those generally nonprofits as well, concessionaires or vendors?
I was just saying, I think we're saying if there's a for-profit business that has a separate nonprofit or philanthropic arm, right? Because I think what we're hearing is that a lot of the for-profit businesses actually provide, discounted or free services, or have a nonprofit affiliation. And so I think what Michelle's saying is, if I'm renting the fairgrounds for anything, whether I'm doing a reptile show or a circus, or and my company that also happens to provide public good to the community, then what's to stop me from saying, hey, let me get a discount, or better yet, let me rent for free, right? And so I think what she's just saying is that is a slippery slope if we want to start basing our rental rates on how much good a particular business does for the community in their various nonprofit or philanthropic, works.
Okay. Just a point of order. I just want to make sure. Can everyone hear what we're being discussed?
Barely.
Because I don't want you guys to think that we're having just a private discussion. No, that's fine. Okay. That's all. To your point, Director Kovacevic, yes, whatever the decision is made here, the Facilities Committee is going to work with the equestrians to make this work moving forward. Because whatever public program we want to implement, if they're not here, then obviously that doesn't work. We can't do any of what we want to do, right? So whatever the decision is made here, I just want to let them know that we are going to try to work as a facilities committee along with them to make this work for everybody, regardless of what the decision is here today.
But the decision today is about rates.
Correct.
We've already decided to keep the facility open and accessible to the private businesses. That's not up for debate today.
Correct.
It's just approving the new rate structure that we put in place. So I want to make sure we keep everything in perspective.
Yep. And with the rates too, I think, again, there's nothing stopping us from reducing the rates. There's nothing stopping, Director Pham brought up a point about the, additional fees that are being charged. Like there's nothing stopping anyone from the board from reviewing that with staff. Of course, for us directing staff to sort of dig in on that and try to see what can be done there to reduce costs, right? So there's nothing. I think the point here is, like, if we believe there's a gift of public funds issue, I think we need to approve rates that alleviate that issue, or at least put us on the path to do so. Right. And in terms of getting those costs down so that we can get the rates down, like, great. We're not profiting. We are not marking this up. So it's not in our interest to charge people, you know, or for us to pay more cost just to charge people more money. Like that's where I'm coming from, right? So I hopefully you guys get that.
Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Director Belzekian.
Thank you, Director Kovacevic, Dr. Belzekian speaking here. One thing that I do want to mention, and you know, to me, safety is one of the biggest issues, and you know, these are, I don't know, 1,000+ pound animals. So if we've got, you know, a sinkhole that has been, you know, requested for repair, and it was 10 months from the repair, I don't know anything about that. Today was the first time I heard about that, but I would like to maybe with the facilities committee next time we meet, I'd like to just talk about that and see if there was something that could have been done a little bit faster. I have gone on walks around the facility a couple times, and you know, I want to come again, and I want to understand that particular item. You know, maybe walk out into the arena. So yeah, safety, #1 issue for me. But I do want to, through my work with the facilities committee, I want to work more with the equestrians. I want to understand more the existing public programming that you're all doing, and you've done great jobs presenting on it already. But I do think that as we develop all of the public programming for the future, I don't see any reason why we should stop doing some of the great stuff that's already happening. I would love to find ways for that to just continue on, keep you guys there, you know, keep the good things going that we have while we pursue our new model, which I also believe in. But I do want to, you know, really foster the partnerships that you've all provided and have talked about. So I'm dedicated to that. As far as the LWI contract, you know, we've dug in. I know that we're not marking anything up, but I do think that, you know, based on how that contract is set up, based on how their fees are set up, they're probably doing quite all right. And I think that, you know, going forward, I want to really dig into, you know, what a new contract could look like in the future, and make sure that, you know, next time an IFB or RFP or whatever goes out, that, you know, we're very clear that, you know, work done is what you get to charge for, not some inflated fee structure that would then, you know, need to be passed along because of the gifted public funds issue and the, you know, the math working out that way. So, you know, these are some of the areas that I think that we can pursue as part of the facilities committee while still going forward with the vote of the board today. So I intend to stay really, really involved. I want to work with all of you, so stay tuned. I might find you on LinkedIn or however I can find you, or if you've sent me an email on my board email. So I very much want to, you know, engage as part of the facilities committee as one board member, and you know, do the best work I can.
Thank you, Director Belzekian. I'll go ahead and say as well on the record that if the facilities committee determines that, you know, the board should revisit the LWI contract, or staff, or both of you, I will get that back on the agenda if I'm chairperson at the time, right? So you got my alignment there. I think it's great that you're willing to do the work and dig in. And again, I think we're all working toward the same goal.
Chair Kovacevic, this is Director LaBelle, if I could comment.
Please.
First of all, you did an outstanding job of summarizing where we're at and how we got there as we try to move this process forward. We have spent a lot of time, and the staff has spent a tremendous amount of time, and the comments I think that you made were very well taken, and I fully support that and would ditto those comments. And I appreciate Michelle's comments that as a state agency, we are a little different, we're a lot different than the private sector in terms of what our requirements are. And regardless of who the provider is of that service, they're going to have to meet the state contracting requirements. And you know, at some point in the future, we will be going forward with you know, looking at that whole element of it. What I would like to suggest is, you know, obviously between yourself as the chair and the facilities committee, I think that You know, we're looking at this from a very positive, proactive. We're trying to expand what we do, not reduce what we do in terms of providing programs to the entire community. With that, if there are no further comments, I would call the question on this.
I'll second. Is
There
that
is a
motion?
comment. I have some information that you need to look at before you make this. I know it's
Sorry,
annoying.
it's not-
Sorry, I'm the
not a
public.
public
There is a
comment.
comment, and the public has a right to make a comment.
You can
before
leave your
make a
paper, you
decision.
can leave your papers at the end of the table and they can be passed around.
Some of the information you were just given was
I
incorrect.
have a public comment on this.
Excuse me,
I'm
we have a
sorry.
motion on the table,
Bagley
and
King says that the public has the right to comment before you take action, and the fact that you had this whole conversation,
We had public comment on the consent calendar.
that's fine.
Yeah, we
The
already
fact
had
that you're
public
taking
comment.
action without allowing the public to talk about it.
I think we had 15 comments, so.
Yes, that was before your
Let's
discussion.
reflect that,
I second his
yeah.
motion.
We'll go ahead and take the roll call, Summer.
Chair Kavasovich,
Yes.
Director Pham,
Yeah, I'll put my face in the facilities committee.
Director LaBelle,
yes.
Director Rubalcaba Garcia,
Yes.
Director Ruiz,
Yes.
Director Bill-Azikian,
Yes.
and Director Jackson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys. So I did move the agenda because obviously in light of the vote failing last meeting, we needed to revisit the minutes, and I wanted to move that to after we were able to re-vote on the issue. So we're gonna go back to agenda item number 5, which is meeting minutes, and we have 2 meeting minutes on the calendar. Meeting minutes held for April 25th meeting, and also the March 28 meetings, which are minutes which are now updated to reflect that vote failed in March, which we just addressed right before this. So those are the 2 meeting minutes that we're looking to approve here. If anyone wants to make a motion.
I would approve the March amended minutes.
Just a second.
Sorry. Oh yeah, we'll do them separately. Okay, so we have a motion for the March minutes to be approved, and we have a second from Director Bill-Azikian. Summer?
Chair Kavasovich,
Is there public comment on this agenda item?
Oh, my apologies. There are 2 public comments on this item, so my apologies. Okay, so we do have 1 public comment. We have Gibran Stout. Sorry.
Which one was it? For the March or for the April?
This is for the April, so no, all right, I messed up again. We can vote on March.
I just have
This
one
is
on
for-
April, not March.
This is for April.
Voting on March.
So we can vote on March.
Did you want to, Gibran, you have a card in to speak on
She's on April.
April.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
going to March.
We're doing March right now. So we can vote on March. We can vote on March. We have no public comments for March. And we have a motion and a second. Summer.
Chair Kavasovich,
Yes.
Director Pham,
You left.
Director LaBelle,
Yes.
Director Rubalcaba Garcia,
Abstain.
Director Ruiz,
Abstain, no second.
Director Bill-Azikian,
Yes.
and Director Jackson.
Yes.
That passes. That is the vote to amend the March, to approve the amended March meeting minutes. Okay, so that passes. Now, we will move to the April meeting minutes, and for that, we do have a public comment. We have Gibran Stout.
Just a couple things. At that April meeting, you were delivered, I think it was over 1,200 letters, and I didn't see them anywhere in the minutes, and it's my understanding that they're supposed to be on there, all documents that are presented to the board for consideration, and I didn't see them anywhere on there, so I'm curious how we can get that fixed. I know it was a lot of information, but I think it's important that be on the public record, because 1,200 people speaking out on one thing is kind of a big deal. My other question is that I had on the CEO's presentation, I went back through and I watched video extensively, and at the 25:15 mark, she says that's the end of my report, and there's a small area left on the report. And so there's several items that are posted online as part of the operational report that are not part of the report. And so I'm confused as to the disparity in it. The first page is the screenshot from the video. The second page is from what's posted online, and there's some information, there's some disconnect, and there's some inaccurate information, so I would ask that that be corrected. There's also something listed on here as mental health gardening, and that was never mentioned during the report, so I'm just confused as to what that is, and I request that the board correct what is posted online to match with what was presented during the board meeting. So that's it.
There's letters. There's Penny, Eli, McGregor presented copies of 1,270 letters from the equestrians to the board. She stated the community is asking the board to rescind the vote on the rental increase and cancel. Yes, it is in the minutes.
Which number is it?
It is under item 6, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down.
The letters themselves were not included, as with all the other correspondence.
Do letters have to be submitted through public comment in order for them to be part of an agenda? Or
For the purposes of the meeting minutes, the letters are referred to, which the meeting minutes are maintained by the district for the purposes of the Public Records Act, and presumably those meeting minutes should include as attachments the correspondence that's received, so the district will preserve those in accordance with its own document retention policies.
So we, as long as we preserve the correspondence and we have it reflected in the minutes, we're fine to approve this?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Great. Any other comment, or anyone have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve minutes for April.
Thank you.
Second. Second.
Okay.
Director LaBelle.
Thank you. Go ahead, Summer.
Chair Kovacevic,
Yes.
Director LaBelle,
Yes.
Director Rubicava Garcia,
Yes.
Director Ruiz, Director Bilezikian,
Yes.
and Director Jackson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, great. So now that we've completed that, we will get back on schedule here with agenda item number 8, and this is the CEO operational announcements and updates. We do have a public comment for this. We have Gibran Stout, followed by Kelly Babs.
I'll make my comments after the presentation. I can't obviously make them until I know what it is.
This is the public comment period for this agenda item.
I don't mind
Okay, you know what? I will make the decision to move the public comment for this until after the CEO update. Go ahead, Michelle.
Awesome, thank you.